So there was a chateau just in from A1 airstrip that was a private farm.
A private farm. It was built. They built the A1 on the Cassard farm, and it's funny. I think we'd been over there 2 or 3 days, and my friend George Cargill and we weren't flying this mission, so we were wandering around the farmhouse, and out behind the farmhouse there was a horse. And I had had a horse when I was a youngster, and so I jumped on the horse bareback, and we had a little rodeo going there. And this kind of gruff Frenchman came out, and he couldn't speak English, and I couldn't speak French. And he wanted to know what was going on, and I was trying to tell him, well, I'm just riding your horse.
Just manhandling your farm animals.
So we became friends.
Yeah.
And that was Mr. Cassard. And he owned the property contiguous to the runway. And his home was right there. And so now we've become friends, and I called him Papa because again, what French was over my head. But we became friends, and it's funny. Every time we flew a mission, somehow Mr. Cassard was out to wave us off. And every time we came home, he was out by the runway. Of course, it's his farm. He didn't want us busting it up, maybe.
Right. But as a farmer, he would have been busy with all matters of things,
sure.
But yet somehow he always found his way over to the airstrip.
Always we'd see him out there. And so he became Papa.
Right.
What the heck? And on the other side of the street was the Legrand family, and right next to their farm is where we put our tents. And we were actually in tents. At that time, we still had enemy activity in the area. We were right in the process of the breakthrough at Saint-Lô, the beginning of it. And again, the Legrands befriended us. And again, they actually would feed us. They'd give us fresh vegetables. They were so happy that we were there. The Germans had been taking everything they produced. Yeah. All of a sudden, they're free.
And these farms had been they were boarding German soldiers there.
They were boarding German
forcibly,
soldiers.
Of course.
Mr. Cassard lost his uncle, and at the time, because I didn't speak French, I thought that I knew that somebody in the family had been killed, and he used the word infant. At least that was what I thought the word was. I thought it was a French word. And so I assumed that it was a small child, but it wasn't. It was his, I think it was still a teenager brother, and he was shot right on the farm because they had boarded Germans there, and they caught him passing information to the authorities who were passing it on to England during the time of the invasion. And so he was shot in a room right in the family home.
As a collaborator, essentially.
As a collaborator.
Right.
So
so some of your operations were moved into these farm buildings, and these farm buildings became operative to the 401st.
Oh yes, we moved into their bakery. The bakery was a separate building in the Cassard family, and back in those days they would bake an enormous amount of baked goods, and to prevent maybe burning the whole farm down, they had a separate building, just like our old ranchers did in the West.
Sure.
The kitchen was separated from the family in case you had a fire. So we took over the old bakery, became our operations building, and that was home for a while.
Right. So you have since been back. How many times?
We've been back twice. We were invited by the French government, who gave us a first-class ticket and flew us to Paris, took us down to the Invalides, and we had a great big ceremony, just typical.
What year?
This would be 2009.
So that was your first time back, 2009.
No, I was back there in 1947, and I met with Papa, and he was still alive. I took his photographs out in the middle of the strip, and he had all new fences, and they were our old landing mat. He'd cut up the landing mat, which was a sturdy fence. So I took a picture of him out by the fence, looking right down our old runway, and we had a great time at the house. And
it's the grandson now.
It's the grandson now
that owns the farm.
He owns the farm.